Hello, welcome to another, pregnancy update. This one is not a weekly. I wanted to talk about my doctor's appointment. I mentioned that in the last video. I'm still waiting for my 36-week pregnancy update video to load. So we'll see how that goes, like if it actually loads. I'm having a little snack. But there's been like some new developments, sort of, I guess. So first of all, I'll talk about the doctor's appointment and how that went. So, again, like I mentioned in my last video, hopefully it uploads. 36-week appointment. The very first weekly appointment I've ever had. I had my GBS test. And I don't have the results back from that or anything. But that was way less invasive than I expected. It was just like a little boop boop swab. I was expecting a little bit internal, and that didn't happen. It was just barely, anything. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have been so stressed out about it ahead of time. But I was, and I thought that there was going to be more to it. The appointment itself was fine. He went to my lower belly, kind of under my belly right there. And he took his fingers like this and went into my skin, and he was like, oh, she's head down. And I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. And he acted like, he goes, do you want to feel? And I'm like, well, no, I mean, I've been trying to figure out what position she's in, but I can't tell what I'm feeling or anything. So he's like, yeah, no, she's head down. She's great. Her heart rate was in the 120s, which I found a little bit odd because initially, for the longest time in this pregnancy, I mean, until we were halfway at least, maybe a little longer, her heart rate was always in the 160s. I remember we had one appointment where it was in the 150s. And then since then it's dropped. It was 140s, 130s. Now this was 120s. He didn't act even a little bit alarmed about it, so I guess that's fine. I can't remember what my daughter did. Especially leading up to birth. But my other doctor, I don't know if we listened to the heart rate every time. We did a lot, but I don't know that she told me what the heart rate was every time. Or my doctor now does. So when he was doing my GBS test, he said, okay, so do you want me to check you while I'm here? He's like, we absolutely don't have to do that. It's not a big deal. And I was like, well, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was more of an advocate for not getting checked, really at all, until you're in the hospital. Or because you're going to start your labor when you start your labor. There's a lot going on in my life right now and with people around me. And my husband was supposed to go Monday for training in Arizona. I don't think I've told on here where I live, just because, but I'll tell you this, we're nowhere close to Arizona. We're nowhere close to Arizona. We're somewhere in the middle of the United States. So, anyway, it's one of those things that's okay, if we're getting close, he didn't want to go to Arizona because that wasn't actually for a job. It was for a group training thing. And he was like, if you're anywhere close to going, I just don't want to go to that. And I'm like, okay. So since the doctor was like, well, do you want me to check you? I said, you might as well. You're there. I don't know how to make this body look good at this point, especially sitting down. But I said, you're there, you might as well. So he checked me. So I don't know if getting checked hurts for everyone. I was told whenever I went for a pap smear, when my husband and I were wanting to try for our daughter we already have, I was just talking to, she was a nurse practitioner. I love her. I love her to death, though. But anyway, I was just talking to her about it, and she was performing the pap smear, and she said, now what I want to tell you about that is that your cervix is very high and to your right. Okay. And that freaked me out, honestly, and I was like, does that mean that it's going to be like really hard for me to have a baby, like get pregnant for one, or for two, like does that mean it's going to be like really hard for me to deliver? Would I have to have a C-section? She's like, no, it doesn't mean any of those things. It's just something that would probably benefit you to know. Now I know why she said that, and I think it's about the checking. And it's not, I remember being checked with my daughter. I was not checked until the day before I actually went in to go to the hospital. My husband was getting ready to leave for a job, and I was feeling all kinds of funky. And so we went into labor and delivery triage at the hospital that I was going to at that time. We were there for 3 hours. I got checked. I got a bunch of tests run. The whole thing was bogus, really, but I got checked then. That was the first time I'd gotten checked the whole pregnancy. And then obviously I went into the hospital, essentially like that night. The next morning we went at like that was a Wednesday, and me and my mom went in at 4 a.m. on Thursday. I didn't have my daughter until Friday. I don't know what that was. Anyway, I didn't have my daughter until Friday, but basically, so I went in that Thursday morning. I got checked a bunch. All kinds of stuff happened. But I remember being checked, and I remember the feeling of being checked and it being different with different like nurses or doctors. One nurse in particular was absolutely brutal. I mean, it was so painful. I would lay on the bed and just shake and tremble, and my heart rate would spike and everything. It hurt so bad. It was hurting worse than my contractions. And so, back to being checked, this doctor, I mean, he's a man, but he has like skinny hands, and they're big hands because he's a man, and like, but they're skinny. And I thought, well, maybe this will be okay. Oh my gosh, it hurt. Ooh, it hurt. I lay there and I thought, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I know I'm getting ready to push a person out down there, so I sound like a sissy, but yeah, it was terrible. And poor guy, like, I love my doctor. I'm not like angry at him over something that's not his fault. So I'm not like trying to say anything bad, but he had to like reposition himself, his body to like drop his shoulder and like really try. And this is probably TMI, but it just, man. And if you're pregnant right now, I'm not trying to freak you out. Like, getting checked is probably not that painful to most people. It probably isn't. It is to me. It is to me. Unless you have just like there was one nurse at the hospital that I went to with my daughter. It didn't hurt that much. It was like a little uncomfortable, but it didn't hurt that much. But she was like literally the only one. But anyway, so that was that experience. Otherwise, like, the doctor appointment went very, very well. Very routine. Nothing alarming, nothing scary, everything good. After he checked me, he said, okay, well, you're dilated a little bit. And I said, okay. And he said 2 a 1. And I said, okay, which you could be at a 1 for a while, right? And he's like, yeah, you could be at a 1 for a while. And I said, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Um, but here's the thing. I had discussed in the other video about how I'd been having this odd pain in the lower part of my belly when I would, my daughter's stirring around. Whenever I would get up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom, I would come back and lay down and I would have cramps and, just whatever. And like, it would almost make me think that I was going to start having contractions pretty soon and then nothing. So I told my doctor about that and he said, well, that's just your pressure release from your bladder because your bladder is pressing on your uterus. And then that's like a pressure change and, it's going to cause cramping and, whatever, that's fine. I'm like, okay, which does make sense. But when he said that I was dilated to a 1, it kind of made me question if it was what I was, like kind of what I was wondering, what I was thinking was, what if I'm dilating and this is like changes in my body? Because then it started being random times through the day I would feel it. So I don't know which is really true. It doesn't really matter. Facts are facts. I had this cramping, dilated to a 1, whatever. So like he said, yes, you could be at a 1 for a while. A point that has been made, however, between me and my husband in our conversation, I was trying to make a different point, but he took this from it, and he's not wrong. But he thought that this is what I was saying. But essentially, like, we don't know how long I've been at a 1 now. You know what I mean? Which is true. I kind of am associating it to whenever that cramp or whatever in my lower belly started, which would mean this is probably like the 6th day or something like that. So, but it could go on. I mean, women can be dilated to a 1 for a long time. So I truly don't know where I'm at in the scheme of things with that. So that was where like I would have left off with the doctor and how I was feeling about being dilated to a 1 and, just all this stuff. So that doctor's appointment was 2 days ago. So yesterday was my birthday. And I just was feeling blah. I just, I got up, I got around, I got moving, I got ready, I worked my job, but then I also had errands to run and things to take care of, and I was supposed to have lunch at my mom's house and just all of this. And so that's what happened. But if I'm being honest, and it's not like anybody who has wanted to celebrate me this year, I appreciate tremendously because there is so much going on. So what I'm about to say, I don't want it to like take anything away from that because I sure feel very lucky and very blessed. But I was to the point yesterday where it didn't even feel like my birthday. I woke up, I forgot it was my birthday. And quite honestly, I couldn't have given a rip less about my birthday. If we would have not celebrated it at all, I wouldn't have cared. It has nothing to do with age. It had everything to do with the way that I felt. I just was like, oh, Lord, get me through the day. Like, that's how I was feeling yesterday. No real symptoms, no real anything going on other than I just was like, man, it is hard for me to put one foot in front of the other today. I mean, I'm doing it. It's not that it's impossible, but it's just like, wow. It's hitting me harder. Like every day is hitting me harder that it's hard, it's harder. It's more complicated. It's difficult. Especially with the toddler. Like doing this part of pregnancy with a toddler, like genuinely, like it takes me back to when I was just so sick in my first trimester. And, it's just you feel really guilty because you need to do more with them, but it's like you physically cannot, So that brings me to today. And so, well, last night I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and I came back to bed and I didn't have those cramps. And I was like, oh, because like last night I caught this like second wind. Not that I felt like I could just really go run around and do anything or whatever. But like I was sitting there and I was like, earlier today, I felt like I'm literally days away from having this baby. And right now, I feel like I could go like this for a couple weeks. Like, I feel like it's not hanging over my head, you know? Then I got up and went to the bathroom in the middle of the night, came back to bed, no cramps. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I got up this morning and I was really struggling with being awake or possibly alive. I don't know, like I was really struggling. I just didn't feel myself and I just really wanted to sit down or lay down or, you know, but I was up with my daughter and there was all that. And then I had to make her breakfast and I was on the phone with my mom and like I was just, everything was just normal. It was just more of like maybe like yesterday, you know, just like, oh, you know. Well, then the next thing I know, I was sitting there. Well, I don't think I was sitting there. I don't know what I was doing. I was milling around at this point, and I was thinking, I need to get ready for the day. This day's going to get away from me again, which has been happening lately with me feeling like the way I've been feeling. But I was having, right here, I was having a gripping feeling, which has been like how my Braxton Hicks are, like it grips right in here, but not a lot of pain. Today, I had gripping and I had cramping in here. Now, I have no idea. I've only had one child. I don't really know how it like goes and what have you. My contraction pain with my daughter was not up here. Like I expected it to be because they talk about your uterus, which is huge at this point, and it contracts to push the baby down. So I assumed that it would be somewhere in the upper region of your belly that you would feel the contraction, you know? I don't think I ever really felt that. What I felt was like in my lower belly and like tucked back deep in, you know. And it was pain and, you know, I'm like, oh, this is not what I thought contractions would feel like. So today I had that and I thought, what in the world? Okay, this is like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I had to like lean over the counter a couple times and just like kind of breathe through it that I'm like, what is this, you know? Then I thought, well, maybe this is like more severe Braxton Hicks kind of thing, whatever. Then the cramping and the pain and everything went into my lower belly pretty much where like a contraction would be more feasible compared to what I had experienced before. But they weren't coming and going. It was consistent. Now that is how I went into labor with my daughter. I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a pain down there and it was there and it stayed. There was no stopping and starting. It was just consistent for about, I don't know, 20 minutes, a half hour, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it was around that time. My husband was out of town. I had my husband drop me off at my mom's to monitor me if this happened. So my mom was like awake. She was on it. She was sleepless. She just had a feeling, you know. So she comes in and she's pounding on the bathroom door because I got up and I went to the bathroom. I'm like, this is like the worst pain. Like something needs to come out of me. Like I need to go to the bathroom. And that an urge to go to the bathroom came a lot and like all this. Anyway, she's like, well, let me know when another one comes. And she said it time and time again. And I just kept telling her, I'm like, how do I tell you when another one comes when this one, it's not stopping. It's just pain. It's just like long-lasting, consistent pain. Well, it finally kind of went away. One thing they don't ever talk about is how when you're having contractions, that doesn't all go all the way away. It just wanes and then comes back. And then it wanes and then comes back. So anyway, so that's what happened. And then I said, okay, I guess let's start timing now, I guess. Like see if another one comes up or if it goes away. And anyway, so then at that point, my contractions were just already like automatically 4 minutes apart. I was having 1 minute contractions for 4 minutes apart. And it was like that for about an hour. And then it dropped consistently to 3 minutes apart. And so that's how that went. I don't know how to expect what's going to happen this time. I don't know if I'm going to labor the same. So basically today, that's what I was having. I had this like long, consistent painful cramping and just, I couldn't breathe in too much. I couldn't move certain ways. It just really hurt. And I was like, okay, what in the world? And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and start getting ready because whatever, I'm not doing anything else. And whether I go into labor or not, I may as well just get ready. So that's what I did. And so as I sat there getting myself ready, it kind of started ticking down and being lesser, And then, but it would be to where, like, if I got up and did anything, it would kind of come back. And I'm like, okay. But it was like nothing I felt like I could time. It was nothing like that. And so I thought, this is either going to go away or it's going to turn into contractions. I'm not sure which. And I just was waiting. So, needless to say, it eventually went away. And I was like, and it stayed away, didn't come back. But my belly as a whole has felt very weird and almost like sour and just not crampy, but just like sore and not good all day. Consistently, not like a contraction-y thing, it just all day has felt like that. It did not help that my daughter woke up and she was like on today. She was very needy, very clingy, wanted everything, just like whiny and throwing fits, which I'm trying to break. And we're trying to potty train, which is, there's just a lot going on. But oh my gosh, like she was taking it out of me. So I don't know what happened, but it was around 1:30. I started crashing big time. By 2:30, I felt like I couldn't. My husband resurfaced and I was like, thank God, hi, where have you been? And he's like, you look terrible. And I was like, he knew about the stuff earlier and was freaking out that I was going to go into labor. And so I was like, well, welcome back, And he goes, I think you guys just need to take a break. Let's just go in. She needs quiet time. You can have some quiet time. Okay, so he got us set up with quiet time and then left again. I don't know. I don't know about them. I really don't know about them. Today, not my favorite. And so I did get to lay on the couch for about an hour. I dozed off here and there, but my daughter kept waking me up. We were watching TV, and I was like, I just told him, I said, I just feel like I need to get a second wind. I don't know for sure if I'll get one or not, but I feel like I could. So, and then I kind of did. I had some other things to take care of. This is moving weekend for my grandma, so I wanted to make banana nut bread and pumpkin bread. So I ended up doing that, but I don't want to make it. It's not like I got like this burst of energy and just did it. My feet are trying to swell, and I was just trying to get through it. I was trying to feed my daughter dinner. He ended up outside with his brother. I don't know, like whatever. And so I had a cantaloupe I needed to cut up. I needed to make the breads. And then I had a messy kitchen, so I'm cleaning up the kitchen. And I was just trying to get through it. I was not, normally I love doing stuff like that. I love baking. Absolutely not. Like, it was torture. I was like just trying to do it to be helpful. And I was like, oh my gosh. So at this point, I don't know where I'm at. I still feel like tired and worn out. My stomach still feels just like not great. I don't know if I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night tonight with contractions. I don't know if I'm going to last the weekend. I don't know if this is going to go on for a couple weeks. I really don't know what to expect. But that's why I wanted to do this video, because I wanted to do an update video just like on the doctor's appointment, because I was expecting that group B test to just be like, yikes. It was nothing. It was literally nothing. And then I had all these feelings and was stoked, and I don't know if you could see that. She was moving. About, being checked and being dilated to a 1. But right now I just almost feel like we're waiting. It's a waiting game. That's what we're doing. That's what it feels like. So I don't know how I'll be able to update or what. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I know I'm not going to film in the hospital like the birth, or I'm not going to be sitting there like, hey, I'm in labor. Like, I'm not going to do that. So I'll update the best that I can. I'll do my best. But this is an update for now. I'm dilated to a 1, which is nothing. I had this really weird experience today, and we'll just see. I'm so grateful in amongst everything that like I have bags packed. We got our outlet in today. There's a whole long story about the outlet thing because we had one with my daughter. But anyway, that's a really long, irritating story. But we ordered a new system. I didn't get the camera. We have baby camera. I just got, the monitor for the foot. Because especially like if she does come this week or whatever, with my daughter, we really had to watch her oxygen levels and stuff. And she did great. She was a trooper. She was really, really strong. But the peace of mind that the outlet brought me, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. So I was like, I don't want to have a newborn without an outlet. I don't want to do that. I've never done it before. So anyway, that's what's going on. I'll keep everybody, I don't know, more or less up to date. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Part of me just really thinks in the next couple days we'll be going. But then the other part of me thinks, I don't know, we could totally not. We could limp this along another week or even two. I mean, I would be absolutely miserable because I almost feel like this is early like signs of labor. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. So I am going to talk to you later and see you next time whenever that is. Bye.